Hello, everyone. I'm a child of God, person of worth, who is powerless over addiction to alcohol and drugs. My name is Kip. Tonight I choose recovery. Some people are a little slow. We get ready for a fun night here, right? I'm going to try not to fall off the stage. I am not used to being this close to the edge. Let me back up a little bit here. So my friends here up here are going to introduce themselves, their area of recovery, and their sobriety date.
Hi, my name is Sue. I'm a Christian that struggles with anger, codependency, a shopping addiction, and I'm in recovery since May 17th, 2017.
Awesome. Hi, Sue.
My name's Ashley. I am powerless over drugs and alcohol, and I have been sober since October 16th of 2017.
Hi, everybody. My name's Adam. Hi, everybody.
Is that on?
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody.
There you go.
Hey, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name's Adam. I am a recovery chooser, a Christ follower, an addict, and an alcoholic, and my sobriety date is 11/1/09.
Hello, everybody. I'm late Dominic, and I've been in recovery for sexual addiction since August 13th, 2015, and tonight I choose recovery.
Hey, Dom. All right, so my friends, these are our experts that are going to attempt to answer your questions tonight. A lot of really good questions, some really tough ones. There may be, I get to ask the questions, there may be a little bit of payback involved in this. We did this on Monday, and Ashley sat in my seat and asked me the questions, so there might be some payback involved. But if we do not get to every single question, we're limited on time. Stick around for the small groups, grab one of us, ask a question in your small group. You may be new and just not know. You may have been around for a little bit and are afraid to ask, but ask the questions if we don't get to yours specifically. We are free in 2023 is what we've been talking about. So we're going to wrap up that series with this Askit Basket tonight. But we're going to answer questions on a variety of topics. So let's see, who do we want to go to first? All right, we'll start with Ashley. And I got quite a few questions on this topic, so it must be pretty important. Is sponsorship in the big book, and are you supposed to work the steps fast?
So the word sponsor is not in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And for those that may not know, the big book, what we are talking about is, it's called Alcoholics Anonymous. It is what we call the big book. It's its nickname. It was a book written in the 1930s for alcoholics. But since then, it's been used in all kinds of 12-step programs. We reference it here a lot because it's like the origination of the 12-step program. Super good stuff. So no, it does not say anything about sponsor. There are multiple times that it does, however, talk about having a trusted person to work these steps with, and that person should understand the importance and the life and death mission that we are on in working these steps. And so it's just one of those things that's developed over the years, that's become a common practice in recovery, and it is very, very helpful. But there are multiple times in the big book where it tells you if like confession is a part of something that you have to do for your religion, please go see a priest. Please do confession. You know, if you trust somebody else more than a sponsor, it doesn't say that. You have to have a sponsor, but it is a really, really good idea. And since the 1930s, when all of this originated, there have been some more ideas that have developed that are all very, very useful and very good for us in recovery. And do you need to work the steps fast? I'm not really interested in getting into any kind of debate up here tonight. I'm honestly not. You know, it's just not the thing I want to do. So, do you need to work them fast? I don't know. You know, do you need to work them as thoroughly as you can in the in an onward motion, in a forward motion, absolutely. There's no reason to stay stuck on one step. You should be, if you're new and you're working the steps the first time around, keep moving forward. I'm not going to give you like a length of time that you should have that done. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ashley. And, we got another question of how do I get a sponsor? And you did this on Monday, so I'm going to do it here as well. We do this at many meetings. Everybody out there that is willing to be a sponsor, raise your hand. All right, so if you don't have a sponsor, now you know who you can go ask. There you go. Moving on. Dom, how can someone keep refreshing their recovery program?
Well, first off, be on time. As far as refreshing a program, it's like recovery itself. It's an attitude. We often say that welcome to a new way of life, and I have found that recovery is a way of life. So renewal is an everyday part of my recovery. So how and what does that mean to renew to renew? And it means just what the word said. Each and every day when I do my devotions, this is what I do. Doesn't necessarily mean what you would do, but every single morning I do my devotions, and that is the beginning of my renewal of my recovery for that day. And part of that is journaling and just keeping up with where in my recovery what I need to work on today, and just keep doing what I know works. And after almost 8 years of recovery, I think I'm finally getting some ideas that work better than some of my old ideas. So it's just a constant renewing of attitude, renewing your love for Jesus, and renewing what works in recovery. And with that, I pass.
Thanks, Dom. And just so you know, that's not just Dom's story. I, too, start my day with some devotional readings, time in prayer. What am I going to do for my recovery that day? I renew it every day. And I'm sure everybody here is kind of nodding their head yes. So this is not just exclusive to Dom. It's an important thing for us to do on a regular basis. Let's go over here to Sue. How long did it take the program, AKA the 12 steps, how long did it take to take seriously the 12 steps and actually work them?
Good question. Each time I've done the 12 steps, because I've done a step study multiple times, I've gone a little bit deeper. And the first time I did them, I thought, I'm going to do them, get them done, and I'll be fixed. Yeah, well, it doesn't work that way. So the second time I did them, it took me at least a year to work a good step study with a sponsor to go deep and really understand what the steps meant. Because, I can read them, and unless I have someone like my sponsor helping me to understand what it means to even say surrender, that can take a little while for me. My fourth step, of course, was a little deeper each time I've gone, and I've learned more about myself each time. For example, when I first started and did the steps the first time, I was like, well, it's their fault that I'm this way, But now it's like, oh, yeah, now I see my part in it, and that's really helped me change a lot. So the steps are going to be individualized for you, but they are important because you learn so much in each step, and it just gets better each time. Thanks.
Thanks, Sue. Adam, my friend, when a person hits 1 year sober, do they have to do their testimony, or is it just a great idea? I think someone's coming up on a year.
Right. Do you have to? Obviously not. That's not a step, a requirement, or an essential. If you're struggling with it, I would say How many testimonies did you hear in that year that were impactful on you? And I've learned that anything I get around here, I have to give it away to keep it. And this program works best for me and many people that I talk to when it flows through me. And to go back to Dom's question about how do I keep it fresh and new, by doing fresh and new things. That may be giving your testimony that you never had before. That might be, you know, working with that newcomer and just, we say it a lot around here, doing the next right thing. So do you have to? No. Is it the next right thing? Probably. And ask your sponsor about it. And if you don't have one, get one and ask them about it.
Good answer, good answer. Ashley. Sue talked about step 4. So in step 4, would it be appropriate to seek other people's help in identifying our defects of character? Perhaps we're too self-centered to see them ourselves.
Would it be appropriate to seek other people's help in identifying our character defects in step 4? So, good news, when you're done with step 4, you do step 5. You should. It's highly suggested. And the reason why is because there are some, we're not just doing step 4 because it's, like we want to, like the program wants to torture us. That is not the idea. We are doing step 4 to do step 5. So we can get down to causes and conditions so that we can inventory the things that have caused us handicap in our life, the things that have caused us to continue to keep returning to behaviors and situations and different things like that that are causing us and other people harm, that are not allowing us to live a life of any kind of usefulness whatsoever, right? And so, yes, it is appropriate to seek other people's help in identifying those character defects because that's kind of the whole idea. And that is like that is the point we're trying to get at with steps 4 and 5 is we are trying to see where these things keep happening in our life over and over and over again. And usually a sponsor will help you identify that. And and a lot of 4th steps have it laid out as such that, it shows you like you have these columns to check, some of them, not all of them, that ask you to where was I acting out in these character defects, and then you check them, and then there's your character defects. So yes, it's absolutely appropriate to seek help for that if you're not seeing it yourself.
Yeah, good answers. I found in step 5 is doing that with someone else that, that's the seeking of someone else. So it's the next step. Dom, how long do I need to keep coming to keep the freedom I found?
Well, like I said, I've been here almost 8 years. They told me to give it 6 weeks when I first got here, and I'm still here. So I would say that the answer to that is if you are serious about your recovery, then you need to take it serious that it is a way of life. And that in itself kind of explains the answer to that question. If this is going to be my way of life, then I need to keep coming until I am no longer here. And that's my intent, and I think that recovery is such an important part of my life. I don't know how I'd really be able to function without the things that I've learned in recovery. And I look forward every day to the new things I will learn. So I think the answer is, just keep coming and don't stop.
Thanks, Dom. Sue, when do you need more help that my sponsor can't offer, such as pastoral care, counseling, etc.?
Get it. You reach out. I mean, there's nothing wrong. You have a sponsor. You can reach out to your pastor. You can get counseling. All these things work together. And you reach out to accountability partners and others in the meeting. But you have all these resources because the goal is to heal you. To find healing in these steps so that you can pass it on to someone else and help them heal. So yes, absolutely. When you need more, absolutely reach out, find a counselor, reach out to a pastor, an accountability partner. Absolutely.
Yeah, the big book actually tells us that as well, that, to avail ourselves of those people. If you're not getting the freedom that you're expecting, seek others out. And like you said, it goes together. Adam, I think you're up, aren't you?
You're on the show, man. You tell me.
How do you make direct amends right away at the first opportunity, or do you do it the next time?
Make direct amends whenever possible. It is very situational. Like a good example to me, like if I owe you amends and I say, I see you in Publix, it might not be the right place to make amends, but I could say, hey, can we get together some other time? Because I have something I really need to talk to you about, or reach out to make a bridge to that amends, because especially, if you're anything like me, you did a lot of damage to a lot of people, and when they see you at a certain time, they might not be in the right headspace for that, even though you are. I have experience making an amends probably at the wrong time, with somebody. So, but that being said, I didn't know if I ever would see them again. But it's always best to broach it in that way. And it would also depend on your relationship with the person. But, if you see them in public, it probably, maybe you can pull them aside or something to set it up for later. Not that you should avoid them, but acknowledge it. But if you're just springing it on them, that could lead to injuring them or others, depending on who's around them or what their life is like now. So.
Yeah, it's we're assuming that the person has gone through the first 8 steps. Right. There's a reason step 9 is where it is.
Sure.
I heard a story of a guy I know in recovery, and he had a sponsee one time, and he told him, "Don't go make amends to your father-in-law yet." And the guy went and did it and got punched in the nose. The big book tells us don't do it they call it leading with the chin. There's a reason step 9 is step 9 and not earlier. And I know for me as an alcoholic and an enthusiast, I want to rush in and do things right away and get all this right away. There's a reason to do these things in the proper order. But as Adam said, when you've gotten there, then we don't shrink. Tells us before taking drastic action, though, we talk to someone, so typically your sponsor, and they'll help lead and guide you on when you should do those things. Back to Ashley. I got a good one for you.
Oh, boy.
Nah, this one's not too bad. Because you're real busy, though, how do you balance everything your freedom from addictions has given you and your recovery commitments?
So, when I was in rehab, we had this director lady who was very wise, and she said things that just stuck with you for life. Right? And she said to us one time, anything, you guys have all heard the story, the saying that anything you put before your recovery, you'll lose, right? But I liked it better when she told us that anything we put before our recovery will become secondary to our addiction, right? Because there's a little bit more weight in that. Like, it's not just like, oh, you're going to lose it. It's like, no, I'm gonna put drugs before it. I will 100% put drugs before it. And I live the life today that I wanted my entire life. But it's contingent. Right? The big book says that we have a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual program, right? And so that word reprieve, that one little small word, means a whole lot. The definition of it is a temporary suspension of a punishment, typically referring to death. And so the way I view my recovery is if I have every morning, I'm going to get up and I'm going to call the governor and I'm going to ask for a stay of execution today, because I am a dead man walking. I am a dead woman walking because I was supposed to have been taken out by my addiction and my alcoholism, but I wasn't, which means that I am blessed and I have this stay of execution. So that helps me to keep everything in balance, right? Because I know that all this other good stuff is good, right? It's great, but I don't get to keep it if I don't keep coming back. That's the way that it is, and so the good stuff's great till it's gone. Right? And I don't want it to ever be gone again. And so you just have to keep that at the forefront of your mind. And the rest of that sentence, contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition, contingent means subject to change. So I have a death sentence over my head, and I've been given a temporary suspension of that punishment, subject to change based on me continuing to work this program in my life. And for me, I don't need to know any more than that. And that's not to say that we don't have times where we come in and we come out and we don't do the things we should do sometimes. We have a lot going on and life gets busy. But to the best of our ability, we have to get back up and we have to do it again as soon as possible. Because I don't want that to be my story. My children lost their dad to an overdose. I don't want them to lose me too. And that's my future if I don't continue to do this. I'm a death row inmate that's getting a temporary suspension of that punishment. And that, it's not a fear thing, it's also a gratitude thing too, that I have this life because of this program. Why would I not be here for the person after me? I need to be here for the person after me.
Good answers, Ashley, good answers. She's hard to follow, isn't she? Dom, let's do this one. Should I get a sponsor, or is there an age limit? I didn't write the question.
Yeah, you should be at least a year old so that you can talk to people.
Good answer.
Should you get a sponsor? That's always a question that comes up. And the simple answer is yes, absolutely. This whole program of recovery revolves around the fact that we are not out on our own out there. We're not the only one or the first one to walk this path. Someone has walked it before you. So I know my sponsor once told me, would you go into a jungle by yourself without a guide? Well, no, because I'd probably take 2 steps and get bitten by some kind of snake. I don't know. But either way, recovery is the same thing. If you try to do it by yourself without someone that you know and trust and have a relationship with, that's an important part of choosing a sponsor, somebody that you look up to and that you want what they have. And if they're demonstrating that, then that demonstration includes the fact that they are able to guide you and help you get through the difficult parts of recovery. We talked about the 4th step and, the 5th step without really, for those newcomers, explaining what those steps are. But the 4th step is to take a complete moral and honest inventory of your life. Well, that's a hard thing to do by yourself. And then step 5 is to, confess your sins to yourself, to God, and to someone you trust. Well, it's easy to confess to yourself. You already know what you did, and so does God. But trusting someone with all of the sins of your life, if you will, that's somebody that only a sponsor can fill that area. And so I would say that, yes, absolutely, you don't want to go into this program without a sponsor. I shouldn't say that. You can really do steps 1, 2, and 3 without a sponsor. But when you get to step 4, you need the guidance. You need the guidance of a sponsor that's been there. Okay, yeah. With that, I pass.
Yeah, I know for me, I had no clue on how to do step 4, and that's when I, like you said, truly needed someone to help walk me through these steps that has been through them. That's what a sponsor does, is walk us through those steps. So, Sue, when are you truly recovered?
Well, actually, none of us are ever truly recovered. We're recovering. We continue to recover every day. We will truly be recovered when we're face to face with Jesus Christ. Until then, we just walk our steps every day with our sponsor. We continue in our recovery. And each day is a little more, and each day there's a little more joy and gratitude. And when I get to that other side and I'm face to face with Jesus, then I will say I'm recovered.
Thanks, Sue. Yeah, and you'll look at I like to look at the spiritual experience on that in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It says, personality change sufficient to bring about recovery, a profound alteration in our reactions to life, and realize that we've tapped an unsuspected inner resource. And when those things start to happen, you know that you're on the right path, but it's a continuing process every single day. Give our panel a big hand here. I want to thank you all for being here. I hope I didn't institute too much payback for myself for later. Yeah, just leave that there. We'll move it back as the band makes their way back up here. There's one more question I do want to answer. How do you continue to squash your fear as you go through new things in life while staying sober? For me, fear controlled so much of my life before, and it was one of the main reasons that I drank and used drugs. I was seeking liquid courage and ways out of the fear. Walking through the steps, and there's a fear inventory in step 4, and that's identifying the fears, and it's more the internal fears than the external. I don't like snakes. Fear. It's things like fear of failure. I'm going to fail anyway. Fear of insignificance. I'm not good enough. Fear of abandonment. Fear of betrayal. All those internal fears are the ones that we work through. Identifying it, and then with those fears comes a lie from the enemy, and I need to speak truth to those. What the Bible and recovery tells me is the truth. Around here we say child of God, person of worth, speaking truth to that, and prayer. Prayer helps me walk through those fears that I can walk through them today. Doesn't mean I don't still have fear, but they don't paralyze me. I can do things while afraid, which was a novel and new thing for me as I stay faithful with working a program of recovery. This popped up for me this week, and I went back and spent some time to identify that, yes, this is a fear, what those fears were, and spent some time in prayer with God to do that. So as we're going to sing one more song here, The Mighty Cross. And just some of those lyrics, we're going to open the altar up here for you to come up here and maybe lay down some of those fears. And there's some of those lyrics is, for his blood has set me free, and it will never lose its power for me. And that's where that's how we get rid of those fears, is through his power. So please stand and join me in prayer. Father God, we're so grateful and thankful for the time that we've had together tonight and this panel answering your difficult questions, and hopefully that those answers sink into your hearts and help you to overcome whatever issues you have, whether it's surrendering or fear or whatever it is. We just ask that Lord, you come into this place and you help everyone here. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.